Okay, welcome back to the lecture. This is part two of the human development approach. We were talking about human development index earlier on, and these are the factors. Um, Number one is the measure on health. Number two is education, and number three is the standard of living. So the health, for example, is measured by the life expectancy in years at birth, and this is quite simple and also universally available. It varies between countries to countries. For example, Japan has a very high life expectancy at birth compared to a country like Afghanistan, which is almost half of in terms of number of years of life. Yeah, average lifespan. So the second one is education. This is measured by the index of literacy rates. Yeah, how many percent of people in the country are literate? How many, for example, in having higher education and so on, and then also measured in terms of enrollment ratio, how many people have access to primary school, secondary school, and post-secondary education and so on. Yeah. And then as far as education is concerned, it also varies between countries. Most developed countries have high measure or high index in terms of education. For example, Canada is the highest at one time, yeah, and with 100% access to primary, secondary, and post-secondary education, and also in terms of literacy. Yeah. So the lowest, for example, is in a country called Niger, with only 27.8% of adult literacy. So it's very high illiteracy rates in the country Niger of Africa. Okay, and also only 27.2% of the people in Niger uh, complete primary school education. Yeah, and the third one is the third factor is the standard of living, which is measured based on GNI, gross national income uh, parity, or PPP. The highest is Luxembourg with about 85,000. This is a figure quite a while ago, not the current figure. 85,000 per capita, uh, compared to Congo with only 298 per capita income per year. Right, so that is income, and then the purchasing power uh, balances balances the high cost. So that's what you have to look at, the PPP, or the purchasing power, not just the total income. Okay. Now, for example, people in the poverty are usually denied rights. Yeah. Because they are poor, they don't have the rights and all that, which include civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. Yeah, because they are being poor, they have problem with access to other rights. So human rights are directly related to human development. Okay, so discrimination against the poor is generally ignoring or denying them of their freedom of expression. And then labor or communication rights, for example, may not be agreeable for the poor, which could mean unacceptable term as well. Yeah? So they may not have that equal rights. So because of that, the poor will become poorer, while the rich may become richer, uh, because they can thrive off their cheap labor, right? So this create a larger gap income distribution in the country. Yeah. So people often talk about income gap between the rich and the poor. The poor tends to get poorer, the rich tends to get richer. Yeah. And secondly, education is another important factor in determining human development. It's a very important factor. And education determines the future of a country. So without good education, children cannot make the country progress or advance when they grow up. Yeah? So this would be the reversal of human development actually. Yeah? So if you don't have good education, it's difficult to develop. Yeah. So generally, the less educated people are, the less likely they will be able to understand complicated job tasks, for example. We call countries in the top 10 in terms of human development index. Okay, so and then you could see also the countries. Next slide, yeah, the bottom 10 countries in the world in terms of HDI or Human Development Index. Yeah, Mozambique, Burundi, Ethiopia, Guinea, Chad, and all these countries are where they are in the African continent, right, and Africa. Right? So, what are the common characteristics they share? Many of these countries actually were former colonies of countries of Europe, for example, for colony of France, colony of England, and many other European countries as well. Right, so that could be one of the things that may have caused them to remain poor. Yeah, as one of the reasons. Past colonies. Okay, the human development approach. Some of the key elements are, according to sense theory, is that capabilities, yeah, expansion of capabilities is the starting point for human development approach. And that is the idea that the purpose of development is to improve human lives by expanding, yeah, by expanding the range of things that a person can be and do, yeah, um, such as to be healthy and well nourished, yeah, having enough food, and to be knowledgeable, having access to education, and to participate in community life. So if we look at from this point of view, the development is about removing the obstacle, or dalam bahasa Malaysia halangan. Yeah? Remove the obstacle to what a person can do in life. Yeah, obstacle are many, including, for example, literacy itself is an obstacle, and not having education. Yeah? Ill health or being sick is also an obstacle. Lack of access to resources is also an obstacle, or lack of civil and political freedoms are also obstacles to achieve a person's goal, yeah, what they want to be or what they want to do in life. Okay, so it is important to emphasize that human development approach contains two central theses about people and development, and that we have to distinguish between them. Um, The first one is called, according to Sen, is the evaluative aspect, and the other is the agency aspect. The evaluative aspect is basically concerned with evaluating improvements in human life as an illicit development objective, and using human achievement as the key indicators of progress. Right. So, in other words, to evaluate where a particular human being is in terms of the development, yeah, progress. So this is contrast with paradigms that focus on economic performance. Yeah, so there's not so much talking about the economic performance, but rather the improvement in the life of the people, the human life. The agency aspect, on the other hand, is concerned with with what human being can do to achieve such improvement. Yeah, remember the evaluative aspect is concerned with the achievement of the improvement, but agency aspect is concerned with what human beings can do, yeah, to achieve that. Yeah, particularly through, for example, policies, strategies, and political changes, and so on. So the human development approach is commonly associated with the evaluative aspect, because it's just trying to measure whether or not people have improved, or the people or the population has improved in terms of their life. So the agency aspect is probably less like widely appreciated. So just a bit more on evaluative aspect of the human development. This approach is unique, yeah, and its emphasis trying to assess development by how well it expands the capabilities of all people. So the keyword is to expand expansion of the capabilities of the people. So because of that, economic growth is only seen as a means, yeah, and not an end in itself. Yeah, so economic growth is a way or means to achieve or to increase the capabilities actually. Okay? So furthermore, the concern with the well-being of the people emphasizes equity as well. Yeah, equality or equity as a major policy objective. In other words, we don't want to achieve um, where in society there be the rate or the differences between the rich and the poor will be reduced. So it requires a monitoring not only through national averages, but also through measures of deprivation, and also in terms of distribution of the wealth, yeah, and distribution of income. So the establishment of measurement tools for evaluating human achievements was central to introducing human development as a alternative paradigm, yeah, and also to get the attention of policymakers. The agency aspect, just a bit on that. This is where people are seen as not simply beneficiaries of economic and social progress in society, but active agents of change. So people themselves are agents of change. Yeah, that's why I call agency. Yeah. So people are the real world foundation. So they can change, they can do something to change their life and so on. So the human development approach shares with other approaches the idea that if you invest in education and people's education and health, it will become a powerful tool or means to achieve overall economic and social progress in societies. Right. So the tools is important. The investment in people's education and skills and so on. Yeah. Um, but it goes much further in at least two ways. Yeah. Number one, first, in its concern with the role of human agency for changing policy, social commitment, and norms that require collective action. Yeah? And second is the concern in its with human rights. So the first one, role of human agency, concerns with who makes the decision, who uh, decides on the changes and so on. Well, as the second one is concerned with human rights, the right of the people, the right of the population, the different groups of people to development, and that we have seen earlier on in our lecture. Okay, so so human beings can be agents of change through individual action and collective action. For example, in terms of individual action, it shapes development through activities such as upbringing of children. That is individual. Yeah. While as collective action is an important force that can pressure changes in policies and bring about political change. So through collective action, through social action and so on, can help to bring changes in terms of policies and so on. So what is happening over the last few weeks? For example, what is happening in America on the uh, uh, protests and demonstration on the street against discriminations, yeah, racism, and so on. I think that's a good example of collective action, trying to put pressure on the government, the police, to make changes, yeah, to avoid or to rather to make sure that um, racism and also discrimination can be reduced, if not eradicated totally, yeah, from the system. So collective action, especially in the form of social movement, has been the essential motto behind progress in achieving major policy shifts necessary for human development. Okay, for example, the recognition of gender equality. That's a good one. Yeah, um, gender equality, and also the need to protect the environment, and the promotion and protection a comprehensive set of human rights. And all that. Those are some of the movement, a collective movement that have taken place um, um, in the world. Yeah, that will have to change to make changes in terms of policies and also uh, how things and how people look at development overall. Okay, so human resource development is typically about individual agency for material production. For example, a healthy worker is more productive than an ill worker, definitely, right? If you are healthy, you can work almost every day, and a sick worker probably work for 3 or 4 days and get sick, and then stop working for 1 or 2 days, and that will affect his income and so on. Yeah? And also, an educated mother is more likely to have healthy children, yeah, etc. But the idea of agency in human development is also about demanding rights in decision making, the rights to make decision, right? So the recognition and promotion of human rights and the legal framework that guarantee these rights are important, yeah, in the human development approach. So human rights, right to development, we have seen earlier on. So what are the implications of HDI? Okay, number one, in terms of human rights, yeah. So it's not just political. It includes the right to food, education, healthcare. It is recognized in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And another one is collective well-being. This is where one person's freedom may constrain others' right. So there's a need to balance between collective and also the individual rights as well. On issue of equity, implication on equity, not just the wealth we have mentioned earlier on, how much income that country has is not as important as the opportunities for education, healthcare, and other rights that need to be addressed. So it applies to differences between the most developed countries and the least developed countries. You could see the differences between these. Um, and then the issue of sustainability, that human development is a process, is seen as a process of enlarging people's choices, and must be done for both the present and also future generations without sacrificing one or the other. So you don't want um, that it happened this year and the next year or so in the future, that those choices or those opportunities taken away from them. So we want that sustainability. Uh, some of the weaknesses of HDI. Um, one Okay, the human development approach has often been misconstrued or misunderstood as being narrowly limited to three capabilities, yeah, included in the HDI um, that we have seen earlier on, yeah, such as literacy, life expectancy, and adjusted income, so on, yeah. Um, so this in turn has led many to conclude that the human development approach has little to offer that is different from the basic needs approach or the concept of human resource development. But actually, the concept of human development is much more complex and broader than its measure. Yeah. So it is about people being able to live in freedom and dignity, and being able to exercise choices to pursue a full creative life. So what you measure in terms of life expectancy, in terms of education, in terms of uh, uh, apa namanya, the third factor, that may look simple, but in actual fact, the concept of human development is more complex. Yeah. Because it deals with the issue of freedom, the issue of dignity, and these are difficult to measure. So, development priorities, uh, as we have said earlier on, is about removing the constraint or the restrictions that people, particularly the marginalized poor people, are facing. Okay, now you can compare the various approaches, for example, between human development, economic growth model, and also human resource development or the basic needs approach. Yeah? So in terms of people, the human development approach becomes an instrument. Yeah, so people become instrument, the agency, and intrinsic value agency. While it's in the economic growth model, also, people are seen as instrument because they are the one who works and produce goods and so on. In the human resource development as well, people are seen as factor of production, while as in the basic needs approach, the people are perceived as only beneficiaries, yeah, beneficiaries receiving end, yeah. In terms of end or goals, human development approach um, goal is to for the formation of human capabilities and be able to use the acquired capabilities. Okay, and then for economic growth, the end goal or objective is basically to create wealth or to generate more income to the country. For the human resource development, it's the idea is to maximize human productivity so that human being can be more productive. In the basic needs approach, the end goal is for welfare, to provide welfare for those needy people. Okay, so that's, that's some of the differences between the approaches, yeah, in terms of development approach. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture on human development approach. There are quite a number of videos that I have attached to or that I've linked to the notes here. So I want you to look at those or view those videos just to help you to understand more on this. Okay, so thank you very much. Bye bye.